So, here we are a few weeks into the NFL preseason, and Colin Kaepernick is still not on the NFL roster. Hold up, not Colin Kaepernick. No, not the guy who decided to take a social stance and not stand up for the national anthem in a, I guess you could call it a sign or a form of protest against the national anthem and the flag. Basically, what was going on was there was a lot of social injustice going on in the country, still going on, but at the time you had more so the police brutality being covered by the media and it being on the forefront. You had the election going, you had all these different sides. You saw a lot of the rage and the discriminations, the racisms, and just the inequalities, the injustices that were going on in this country, primarily law enforcement, the beatings, the shootings, the killings, unarmed black people getting shot by law enforcement. And I think it was just him just taking that protest, and that was the stance that he was taking, using his platform. Now, this guy, from what I understand, that was his constitutional right. Did he break a law by doing that? I don't think so. And that's the thing that everyone always talks about. A lot of people are quick to always talk about their constitutional right. Their constitutional right. It's my constitutional right to do this, to do that, to do this, to do that. Well, he exercised his. Tons of backlash. Now, this guy, I think what is happening to him, I think what he has become and will become is be known as a trailblazer for something that's going to be bigger. And I want to see what's going to come out of this, because I can kind of already see what's going to happen with him. But I want to see moving forward what is going to happen with the whole bigger situation. And I think that's kind of what I want to talk about, and actually my insight on what's going on with him, because I haven't really talked about it. It's been about a year, and I just kind of wanted to watch it unfold, but I can pretty much see what's going to unfold, and we pretty much see the writings on the wall. So this is another episode of Eaux, and we're streaming. You're rocking with your boy Sneakerbox O. We're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick. So quick little background. Colin Kaepernick, biracial, ethnic background of white and African-American descent to my knowledge from what I've heard. I don't believe his father was really in his life like that growing up, but from what I understand, he's African-American, or he just could be black, and that's kind of a vague term because that could mean any country, but from what I heard, I remember seeing this story like about a few years ago, and what I heard was his father was African-American. Now, somewhere along the line in his childhood, he was adopted by the Kaepernick family. Can't remember the exact reason and everything like that, which is not really important, but he was adopted by his family, the Kaepernick family, and that's a white family. And I think they did a very decent job, very good job raising him, because you can actually see he's grown up to be a very conscious, socially conscious young man, involved as far as, his activism. And I mean, yeah, growing up when he's still a young guy, so he's probably made mistakes and stuff, and people have blown up things that he has done, but they're minor stuff. You know what I'm saying? When I see it, I remember someone was, just to make a story, a headline, someone was making a big deal that he was wearing. It was the off season. He was wearing like a Miami Dolphins hat. He was wearing a Miami Dolphins hat. And, I think what he said, he was wearing it because it matched what he was wearing. I mean, who really cares? You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that people will bring up and they'll make big deals about when they can't find anything to bring you down. That's the kind of small stuff that they will do. But anyway, he goes on to, I believe he excels in like baseball and football. Obviously, he took the path of football. Goes on to the University of Nevada, excels there, makes his mark as a dual-threat quarterback, a very good dual-threat quarterback, definitely electrifying with his arm and his legs. Goes to the San Francisco 49ers, drafted by Jim Harbaugh. I don't think he gets much tickets first season. The next year, he finally gets an opportunity and makes the most of it. leads the team to the conference championship game. Next season, leads the team to the Super Bowl. And, he gets offered this contract. I mean, to the naked eye, it looks very nice. I think it was like over 100, something like that, over 100 million. However, it was one of those contracts that some people will call it, they like to call it team friendly. Some people will call it incentive laden. Now, I think that was unique because the way I look at it, usually when you see quarterbacks who, are young and display the talent and the star potential, they get these very lucrative contracts. But you got to look at the group of quarterbacks that get these team-friendly, quote-unquote, quarterback contracts. I mean, incentive-laden contracts. Now, I'll give you an example. One was, I believe it was Tyrod Taylor. He got some kind of contract like that. Maybe not as much as Kaepernick did, but he's a starting QB. Now, compare Colin Kaepernick's contract to Jay Cutler's contract, like the contract he last signed with the Bears, or the past couple contracts he signed with the Bears. Compare them as far as the structure, as far as the incentive basis of the contracts. I don't think they're going to match. Now, you tell me, out of those two, which quarterback has outperformed the other. I'll leave that up to you in the comments, and you can kind of see where I'm going. But anyway, he signs the contract. Moving forward, they don't have good seasons going forward. The 49ers. Kaepernick's play, some people were saying he was regressing. He had injuries. The team just wasn't playing good. Aging stars on the team, injuries all over the place. It was tough. You know what I'm saying? It looked bad. Jim Harbaugh was out the door. They parted ways, him and the 49ers. And then you have Kaepernick demoted to a second-string quarterback, coming back from, I think he had like a shoulder injury. So, yeah, he decides to take this protest against, against the national anthem, and it blows up. You know what I mean? It blows up, and media just takes it and spins it and runs with it. But anyway, within that season, he meets up with this veteran who, there was certain people from the veteran community saying it was disrespectful. Not the entire veteran community. That's very important. There are certain people from all different groups. Certain people from groups saying that they felt it was disrespectful that he wasn't standing up for the national anthem. Now, he takes this meeting with this veteran, comes out of it, and what he decides to do, I think it was a show of willingness to meet people halfway and to show that he's willing to show that we can meet at a middle ground, taking that step to move forward to meeting that one resolution of equality. So what he decides to do is to take a knee instead of sitting down. And what I look at it is, I interpret it as, he probably realizes the opportunities that, he is able to play the game that he likes to play, receive money for it. His country is being protected by people who are, dedicating and pretty much putting their life on the line to protect this country, them being in the military. So I think that knee was kind of more so a show of support for those people. However, I don't think he wasn't willing to fully stand up because he still was showing his stance that he didn't fully agree with with what was going on. And I think that was very I don't want to use the word courageous, but I felt like it was very like showing that, this guy is willing to take that step and, let's move forward. You know what I mean? And some people still weren't happy with that. So now Colin Kaepernick does not have a team because at the end of the season, he opts out of the contract, which I think he kind of saved the San Francisco 49ers because they would have been faced with having to make a decision. Do they cut Colin Kaepernick for, because of all the media backlash or the backlash from probably some members of the fan base or even around the league, you know what I'm saying? Who knows behind closed doors what these owners are saying. Now, or do they keep him and just face the music and still stand by him because they kind of were showing support for him. They weren't really saying I don't think they were really saying they support what he's doing, but they supported him and his right to do what he felt, was his right, his constitutional right. Like, that's how he felt. So I think, though, if they would have cut him, they probably would have received backlash and shown, it would have been pretty much obvious that he was being cut because of his stance, not more so his play, although people have tried to spin it to like he's just not good enough. I'm like, really? Like, he's not good enough? He's not better than some of the starters, let alone some of these backups in the league? He's not better than Osweiler? And I hate to name people out, but I mean he's not better than Jay Cutler, Ryan Mallett, Austin Davis, Matt Schaub. He's not better than some of these people I've named and others. Come on. Let's just call it what it is. You understand? This is an indirect suspension of Colin Kaepernick by the league. And I think it's, it's organized between the owners. And basically, he's being suspended. I mean, you can call it blackballed or whatever. It's an indirect suspension. And they're suspending him for the stance that he took and possibly trailblazing a movement. Because as you have seen, there's other people who've been very more vocal about it. And now it's not more so players that we never heard of. You see Marshawn Lynch, who he says he's been doing it for years. I didn't even know that. But now it's being brought up to the forefront. You're seeing Michael Bennett, a guy from my old neighborhood. And he's speaking up and he's taking a stance. And you're seeing more players. This other day, like 12 players from the Browns. And even a white person, took a protest against the national anthem. So it's growing. And he might have trailblazed this thing. Not saying he's the first athlete to ever do this. I remember when I was younger, you had Chris Jackson, or some of y'all might know him as Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. And he took that stance against the national anthem, not necessarily for the same reasons. I don't exactly remember the exact reasons. I think it more so might have been for religious reasons, religious beliefs or whatever the case. I remember after hearing about him do that, I don't remember seeing him really too much in the league afterwards. I think he might have got suspended for that back then. I don't remember exactly. I might have to look that up. But yeah, definitely, players have done that in the past. But I think he trailblazed it, and I think that this is an indirect suspension of him. And I want to see what happens. If what I do want to see from Kaepernick, what I would suggest for him, and players who want to do this protest, especially if you've made money. Kaepernick has made money, millions. Protest the league. Because this league is pretty much a mirror image of the country of what you're protesting. When you talk about inequalities, you can see around the league how they discipline players, different players of ethnic backgrounds, how the contracts, as I pointed out, different stuff like that, how the media talks about certain people. And just around the league, you can kind of see it. Protest the league. Think about it. What do y'all think about it, though? And I'll talk about that later in another segment, but let me know what y'all think about the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. And I'd like to know if you're a new viewer, hit that. Or if you're a new listener, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Until next time, y'all be cool. Stay up. Peace.